If he's picked up a felony offense, I'm very upset.
We understand. And
Let me express my disappointment with you, Mr. Gomez. You picked up a felony assault of a peace officer while you're on bond for this case.
They attempted to stop and identify the defendant, but he ignored commands and walked away towards the main road. And despite multiple warnings, he refused to comply, and he threw a glass bottle at an officer before fleeing on foot. Officers pursued the defendant for half a mile before detaining him, and while being transferred between patrol units, the defendant had already moved his hand restraints to the front of his body, and the officer attempted to reposition the restraints behind him. That's when the defendant pulled away and struck the officer's left thumb with his elbow, causing pain, redness, and tenderness. And then the defendant attempted to flee again, but was taken to the ground.
And I think there's issues with walking up and saying, we see someone and no more. Well,
It's
I know
not our case to litigate.
Well, I know.
All I know is that you've now picked up a felony case. Where'd you going? I got to take him.
Judge, well, if we're going to be revoking him on that, then I do think it is our issue to delve into. And I think there's issues with the way he stopped. And, but if that's going to be the basis to revoke him, then this court doesn't. But the entirety of the information that the officers receive is based on what I would contend is an illegal stop. You can't just walk up and say, without more, there's no
Go
reason.
up to a guy and say, hey, let's talk.
No, that's not what they said. They said, walked up and said, show me your ID. And that's an illegal detention. That is a detention, and it's one that's unlawful under the circumstances.
I don't know.
Well, I'd like to set it for a hearing if we're going to do that.
Sure.
And he posted bond, 10,000 in the felony case. We think that's sufficient to ensure that he appears for a hearing, a formal hearing on it without needing to take him into custody. I've talked with his mother. His mother has had good contact with me throughout this process, and she'll ensure that he's here.
I appreciate your argument.
Yes.
I appreciate your tenacity, but I have to be fair to every single person that comes through here.
Mhm.
We have certain standards and procedures that we follow.
Sure.
When anyone picks up a felony case, especially a violent felony case, we revoke the bond and we put them in custody. We cannot continue to act in this manner. We are a civilized society and actions have consequences. I'm happy to give you a hearing, but
Yes.
no, I'm taking you into custody. You picked up a felony assault of a peace officer.
Judge, and my position respectfully is if he's entitled to, Judge, maybe before he be taken away, we finish this portion of the hearing. I think he's entitled to be present. The rules of evidence apply in a revocation proceeding. It's in Rule of Evidence 101, I believe. And nothing that has taken place this morning has been in accordance with the rules of evidence.